I have a very special guest.
So it's my turn, and I'm going to talk about, I guess, from a very serious note to another serious note. My all-time favorite book is The Unbearable Lightness of Being. So I actually did philosophy in uni, and the reason how I got in is because of this book. I wanted to interview, and they were like, oh, are you reading any books? And I was like, yeah, this novel. And instead of Twilight, it was this. So they were obviously very impressed. It's actually a wartime novel based in Prague about two women, two men, dogs, and their relationship is very... It's a novel, so even if you're not interested in philosophy, you can read it and just kind of enjoy the plot. But then if you are slightly, if your philosophy senses are tingling or whatever, it gives you a very emotional view into life and relationships and just the general burden of free will and decision, which is interesting because Homo Deus touches on that in a very different and factual way. So if you put two and two together, they kind of... Yeah.
What about free will?
I think that because it's a novel, so it doesn't really say what it is, but leaves you a lot of room for interpretation. Like if you look at the action of the main guy, and he is very tied up about, everything he does is led by his emotions, and so he does a lot of fucked up shit, but then he himself, he feels like he can't control it, and he's just kind of flowing into the life of the river of the life. And I think if you kind of be meta about it and you look at the whole plot and you see that these people are just hung up by strings and that are tied to each other, and it's almost poetic in a way that they don't and do have free will at the same time. And it's got a lot of nice poetic quotes about how, no one has free will and life is just a draft of a pencil, and no decision that you make will ever be a good one because you only get one choice and it's YOLO.
You mentioned that this is heavy. I think yours is
that is very emotionally heavy.
But the book is called Light.
Yeah, that's the whole irony. It is because life itself is so flimsy and so light and so untangible. Usually the most heavy things, heavy burdens in our life is so light. It's not stuff that we have to actually do or carry. It's those intangible things
in your head.
Yeah, but yet it's the thing that weighs you down the most.
Now I have that. So the second book that I'm going to talk about actually comes in a bundle. It's called The Curated Closet, and then the book Overdressed. Back in the days when I had a lot of clothes, but I felt like I had nothing to wear. I think that's a pretty typical girl problem. So in this book, it really talks about what is style. You really need to find yourself high quality garments. And how do you find them? It's basically don't go to those fast fashion companies and buy clothes, because those are most likely not high quality. So in the process of wanting to look for higher quality clothes, and I thought maybe I should understand why those fast fashion companies produces low quality garments. And that's how the next book pops up, called Overdressed. So Overdressed is a book that it narrates and describes very nicely without a lot of judgment on what happens in the fashion industry before globalization hit, before fast fashion companies started and take over the world. And one thing that I like is that it also talks about luxury products. And one quote that I really like, this quote says that in the absolute top tiers of the fashion world, where the $70,000 furs and $10,000 gowns reside, the idea is not to make sensible clothing. So it's what these companies do is to sell the products to those who can afford to pay so much. So they're actually engineering clothing with the knowledge what the wealthy people can pay. And this really changes, this book is good because it changes the way I look at fashion, how the price points are made, and really changes your perception of what luxury products are and what cheap clothing is, how it interacts, because the price point is almost always determines how you look at the value of certain things. So this book is one of the reasons why I feel so into the fact that people should not be purchasing so many clothing from fast fashion companies, because it usually does more harm than good. And the underlying problem is that we shouldn't be looking at fashion as something that you change often, but really find your true sense of style that can stay forever with you. So yeah, that's two books.
That's really nice. I mean, it is true, because I know from working reverse in like marketing and sales, that it is true that we set the price to our target audience. Like if we think that people can afford it and we're targeting a product to people with more money, then we're obviously going to sell something more expensive, even though the cost is always going to be a constant thing. So yeah, it's a good thing to learn, and it's always good to look at what the thing actually is, and you can put your own value into it, right? Like a leather bag I might think it costs $1,000 but to you it might be worth $100, and it really is about what you value and spending your money on
Yeah, I
those
think
things.
it's really about the understanding of what you're actually buying. I think it's buying fast fashion clothing is okay as long as you realize that why it's worth that money, and you want to make it last.
Yeah.
It's okay to buy, say, from H&M or Zara if you take care of it nicely. So I don't know, this book really gives me a lot of information and allow me to make my own judgment on whether purchasing something it's worth it.
Okay.